Welcome to Austin, Texas, where we are set for race 4 of the 2024 DEKA FIT Elite Series. I am Xander Keene, joined by Luke Halterman. I did not get the dress code memo for this morning, but Luke is on site in the great state of Texas, ready to bring you his insight from the arena itself. Should have another exciting race on tap this morning, both on the men's and women's side. We got the season debut of a World Championship podium athlete in Nick Ryker going up against Isaac Sanderson and some other talented men at the top of the field. On the women's side, Alex Walker will step on the line for the first time this year, along with Julie Best and some others as well. So, as we say, I think just about every time that we hop on the mics here on the OCR Report, should be a great morning of racing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Xander, I wish you were here, buddy, because obviously they say everything is bigger in Texas, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen in this race. There's going to be a good showdown. They always say, well, the World Championships in High Rocks right now, there's competitors out there. Man, there are some competitors here today. These races, both female and male, are going to be very exciting to watch because there are plenty of talent on each of the field. And I got to throw it out there as well, too. We should probably discuss what happened on the last race right before. There's an elephant in the room. I'm sure people, when they dial in, they understand the rules of everything that happened last time with the Rams and everything. Xander, let's clear that elephant in the room. Let's go ahead and just kind of tell the people that maybe didn't follow up on the rule changes and everything. Both were reinstated. Mark Polzin and Jessica Cavilia were both reinstated. However, they were inserted with time penalties instead. Now we understand that there are official time penalties opposed to disqualifications to the Ram rollers being dropped or maybe incomplete repetitions. So I want to just give a shout out to Yancey Culp and to DEKA for handling that very maturely, I think. I think they handled it well. In the moment, obviously very heated at the time, and no athlete ever wants to be disqualified, of course, and we don't want to see that. I think the athletes handled it well as well, too. Volunteers are on top of it. I think today Nelson and Yancey are going to make sure they have that locked down, so I don't think we'll see any of those issues today at this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when it happened on both sides, obviously two different situations, but similar in that they occurred at the very end of the race in the last zone as those two athletes were finishing up their burpees. And I think with these penalties now established, in writing and set moving forward, the time penalties are definitely in line with the impact on the race, right? If you're talking about throwing a ram down, obviously that's a safety concern. If you have another athlete working through their burpees next to you, and incomplete reps, of course, means that you didn't do the full race. But, disqualification, I think from my view, and I think we would all agree, doesn't fit sort of the crime or the offense or however you want to frame it. So time penalties, the reinstatement, I think, credit to Yancey and to the DEKA FIT team for taking the time to think through it, sort of go back, look, decide, what the situation was, what would be warranted. And yeah, it's good to see those athletes who put in great efforts get reinstated, even if we didn't know that was be the case at the time.
And I like the fact that we didn't take anybody off the podium because of that as well, too. That would have switched up the female podium. Let's just say if we didn't give a time penalty to Jessica and everything, or at that for Michelle Navarro and Julie Best, they still earned their podium spots, which I think everything was handled well. But Xander, I think we both know as athletes, right, definitely on an elite level, we should know the rules. We should know the standards. We should know the rules. And I'm not calling out them specifically. However, in the moment, and I get we get race brain, we still need to live up to the criteria, do exactly like we're supposed to, and we should all know the rules beforehand. We shouldn't always leave it on to the volunteers to do this, because a lot of times these volunteers who show up, they're not paid individuals. They're just people we kind of get off the block to help out, which we're very grateful for. But at the same time, too, we need to understand that's exactly what they are. So us as athletes shouldn't hold them 100% accountable. We should be 100% accountable. They always tell you, don't follow the person in front of you, because if they get lost, you get lost, right? So know the course, know what you're doing, know the standards, and we won't even have these issues for future races. But everything was handled well. I think it was the right call, and I don't think we will see that mistake going forward. There will always be something, but I think most things will be handled better as we continue. So
Yeah, this is still a young sport overall, right? We've had sort of movement standards get re-emphasized heading into this year, both specifically on the lunges as well as the ramp burpees at the very end of the race. Equipment is evolving and changing, as the sport continues to progress. And, I think both judging and the athletes holding themselves to that standard will continue to grow and improve, as these competitors get more and more reps, in the arena and, as the sport matures overall.
For sure, man. For sure. Either way, I'm looking for a very exciting race today because we got Mr. DEKA of 2023 showing back up. Nick Ryker is here, throwing down with the man who is undefeated this year, Isaac Sanderson. This is going to be a fun battle to watch, man. A big Texas showdown right here between these two. Xander, walk me through who you think may be the guys based off the list that we have in front of us that you think may show up today. And reports as well, I see him here, Mr. The Bear, Matt Novakovic, ladies and gentlemen. The man who used to podium almost every single Spartan race back in the day is making his first DEKA appearance. Man, do you think that might shake up the podium a little bit, Xander?
I mean, he's kind of the absolute wild card, right? A longtime fixture on the Spartan scene. Sort of his climbing workouts are legendary, but we haven't seen, him in the DEKA FIT space, and really at racing at an elite level, at least here in Spartan or DEKA FIT in a while. So that's kind of the ultimate wild card heading into this race. I think that, based on the start list that we had coming into this morning, between Isaac Sanderson, who we've seen win back-to-back races, Nick Ryker, ready for his season debut. He's fit. He placed third at World Championship last year. And Glenn Race, of course, who has thrown his hat in the ring a couple of times already this year. That's a fairly established potential top three. But you've got Isaiah Vidal, who's been focused more on the CrossFit world recently, coming in. You've got potentially Matt Novakovic towing the line. So, we might talk about Isaac, Nick, and Glenn as the top three, but anything can happen when this race gets started.
Yeah, this is like an old school Spartan race, honestly, if you think about it, man. Matt Novakovic, Isaiah Vidal, Glenn Race. I mean, what is this, Spartan 2015 all over again? This is nuts. This is fun. I like seeing some of the OCR legends getting into the hybrid scene. This makes it great for not just you and I, but for people at home to watch. You always raise the question, well, what would happen if Hunter did this? What would happen if Matt did this? What would happen if Nick Ryker did this? You always raise those questions with all these new sports that are coming in. So this is awesome that we finally get to see a legend going out there, because we already saw Isaiah do it last year, and he threw down a very decent time. He, of course, didn't podium, but, man, now that he's done it once and being the great CrossFit athlete that he is, he's got a great enough shot of getting podium as the other guys do.
Absolutely. And, one thing we've seen this year on both sides, but specifically the men's side, is one athlete kind of pull away fairly early on in the race, and impressive performances by Colin Stiefer in the season opener in Knoxville, and, of course, Isaac Sanderson in the last couple of races. But we have not seen a competitive race at the very front end in the back half. It's essentially been decided by the air bike on all three occasions. And just given the talent, given the fact that, Isaac is going really well right now, Nick put down a sub-30 time at World Championship last year. You've got Glenn, crafty veteran with race experience this year. I think there's a much better chance that we get a competitive race at the very top in the final stations, which is going to lead to potentially faster times and also a more exciting finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is going to be a race all the way towards the end, which makes it great, like you said, exciting for us as well. So let's go ahead and do predictions, man, before they maybe do call out. Now that we know Matt Novakovic is there, I'm assuming Yancey is going to put him in the first heat. Okay, I'm going to have to give first place to Isaac, just because he is just killing it right now, and he's undefeated. I'm going to give him first, but then Nick Ryker, if he's going to be right there. And then third place, I'm going to give it to Glenn. Glenn's been killing it this year, too. He's been awesome, and I think he's going to hold it down, and he's back-to-back podiums, and I think he's going to make this a third time in a row.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, at this point, you sort of have fresh legs in Nick Ryker versus race sharpness and recency in both Glenn and Isaac. I I don't want to disagree with you. I almost think though that Glenn has been improving, so in closing the gap to an extent. Part of me wants to take Glenn in second, but I think that's going to be your top three either way.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can mix and match as you go. But of course, don't forget Lazaro Perez. Laz is just as fast enough as anybody else. Josh Gonzalez, who just came off the podium, as you see here pictured on the screen, just got a podium in the DEKA FIT Roadshow out in Colorado. I believe he won, actually, or either first or second. And then Connor Bell as well, too, representing Canada, just like Isaac. Connor is pretty fast as well. And Dustin Needham, and then you got Dylan Moran and Cody Thompson. Other names, Cody's another name that I've seen personally do some great DEKA Strong times. Let's see how his 5K time is. So this whole first heat is stacked to this morning.
Yeah, you mentioned Joshua Gonzalez. He was fourth at the second race of the season in SoCal. So, again, he's a guy who's thrown down. There's Matt Novakovic.
There's the bear.
All right. Guys that have known him and raced him for a long time. Excited to see the bear. A surprise entrance today, taking on the DEKA FIT course.
Yeah, I'm. When I saw him, I was like, is he here? Is this really happening? The only thing we're missing is Hunter McIntyre in this situation. I mean, you talk about one of the best rivalries of all time in Spartan history was those two. So this is exciting, man. This is going to be a good race. It's going to be fast. Do we see a world record broken today?
I mean, that'll be tough. Those world records are pretty stout in that, we've seen only a few men under 29. Isaac was, 29:45, I believe, was his time, or 29:41 last race. He certainly was pretty much all alone. So I think that there's the potential for there to be faster times today. Again, given, 3, potentially 4 athletes all together in the latter portion of the race. But I don't know, 90 seconds is a lot of time at DEKA FIT, given the strong performance that Isaac had in getting that 29:41.
For sure. Now, he has someone, obviously, to push him to that, and Nick being the same way as well, too. But I agree. I don't think any world record is going to be broken. I think that needs to be set for a more world level, and I think maybe when Ryland makes his return, that's going to be a different story. But 90 seconds is definitely doable in the right circumstances, though.
Yeah, I mean, there's been 7 men under 30, and we've got 2 of them in this race here.
Sorry, Xander, we actually had to take a silence that time since we're on site today for a good old US of A. Okay, so Xander, I'm not seeing Isaiah in the field, so it looks like Isaiah's not there. There is a gentleman standing right behind Isaac Sanderson, though. I'm trying to remember his his name, and he is very fast. He's a great athlete in the high rock scene as well too. This is someone who could shake up the podium today. Joe Kilmore, that's Joe Kilmore right there. Look for him to be right behind Isaac and Nick Ryker. That's another wild card today in today's race.
So you see the front line on the left side, Glenn Race, Nick Ryker, and Isaac Sanderson, of course, wearing the Canadian headband. Those three we expect to be near the top, but Matt Novakovic lurking in the background. You see Joe Kilmer there as well, Dustin Needham in the front row. Should be a very exciting first heat of this men's race, and we are underway in race 4 of the 2024 DEKA FIT Elite Series. And you can see the pack strung out a little bit right away, but Isaac Sanderson pretty close to the front. He's shown strong running ability and stay power throughout each of the last 2 races.
All right. Xander, are you there, bud?
Yep.
Sorry about that. We had some technical issues, but we're back live, guys. Sorry about that. All right, so they're on their second lap. They have not entered any of the zones yet. So, Xander, as you see, Joe Kilmore out in front right now. Again, that's a name that should definitely be respected in today's race.
Yes, he certainly has the confidence to take it out in front, willing to lead this first pack.
Yeah, the only races I'm familiar with, like I said, was High Rocks, and I do remember him seeing taken out front usually in most races. So from my understanding, maybe he's a good front first half runner. Not sure how he's going to close it. Again, I haven't really seen him in a DEKA scene, and maybe he has done a DEKA, but I'm not familiar with his overall time. This will be interesting to see, though. But Matt Novakovic right next to him with Glenn and Dustin, and I'm assuming Ryker and Sanderson are also in there as well.
So this is Zone 1. If you're just joining us for the first time here with DEKA FIT Race 4 at 5,000 meters of running, you run 500, then do a station. This is Zone 1, 30 weighted alternating reverse lunges. A point of emphasis this year with the line, making sure that athletes step far enough back and then up to ensure movement quality, which has slowed down the reps a little bit. And this is one of those stations where there's not a ton of gap forming, but right away you see Joe Kilmer give up a good amount of time compared to the rest of the field, and now Glenn Race leads the pack.
Yeah, so this could just show, obviously, the inexperience just for not being on the field, but, he's still right there, still early in the race. We've done this enough at this point, Xander. We already know the first 3 stations don't shake up anything, right? It's always the mid sections and then the last ones that really determine the podium. So they're all going to be fairly close to each other up to at least the box overs or the setups.
Yeah, the row coming up next is one of the – I was going to say the row coming up next, one of those stations where, experienced racers will hold back just enough to where they're going to sustain their position in the pack without, expending too much effort knowing there's a long race ahead of them.
Absolutely, yeah. The experienced ones definitely know what they're doing. Typically, you know who the new ones are by going out maybe a little too hot on the rower thinking they can sustain it. But they learn quickly, and, they adjust on the next races as well, too. But I think most of these guys – even the ones the first time doing it, I think you row enough, or you at least do fitness long enough, you kind of just get a good understanding of whether you should do a 140 or a 150, right? Knowing that there's plenty of race left. But, again, we're not going to know until they get in there for the rowers. And it looked like most of the guys for the lunges, they sat them down properly. They were probably very heavily instructed beforehand by Yancey to make sure we do not drop these ram rollers at all today. We'll wait to see how the burpees shake out, but I have a feeling most of these guys are going to do it properly today.
And as you can see on the splits there, even though, Joe was a little bit slower on the way to lunges, it's only 5 seconds. And this early in the race, you're still feeling good on the runs to where you're able to make up that time. And he was able to pull himself right back into this pack. And he's rowing, right with those top 4 or 5 guys right now.
There you go. See Novakovic. This is fun. I'm excited for him. I think this is great that he's showing up for the sport. Hopefully, he dives into it pretty heavily, at least for the future. It's always good to see big names show out. We saw Lance Armstrong do the first High Rocks not too long ago. It's good to see big people get into the hybrid fitness stage because this is the future of racing right now. We're in it. It's only going to continue to get bigger. DEKA is going to grow more as a whole as well too, and the brand's going to get out there. So we're going to see these big names show up, and it's going to skyrocket the sport in the process.
Yeah, a couple of years ago when hybrid racing first came onto the scene, you saw some athletes very quickly, recognize that this was going to be their spot and move over. At least on the men's side, thinking about someone like a Nick Ryker or a Rich Ryan or a Ryan Kent, realizing, hey, you know what, this is going to be my avenue. But now, as hybrid continues to grow, there's more people willing to give it a try. Or someone like Isaac Sanderson, who's the classic, you know what, I'll go run for 8 hours in the desert, and then I'll also do a 30-minute DEKA fit. So, because the fitness, even if it's not as specific, it'll translate. And, it's great to see, athletes willing to try this out and in some cases commit to it, even if that's not what they initially set out to do.
Absolutely. All right, Glenn and Isaac out. No surprise there. Honestly, they're the most experienced at DEKA in this whole field, other than maybe Nick Ryker, of course. All right, man. They're flying by me at the moment. I can feel the wind as they run by.
I'm guessing Nick would have snuck out of the zone by now because I don't see him still rowing.
Yeah, Nick is sitting in 4th or 5th right now at the moment. So the box overs are the next station. No shakeup is going to happen there. Honestly, it's going to be pretty much whatever order they go into the station. Will probably be the same order coming out, unless you have someone who's just stumbles on the box by accident or just is not familiar with how the box over station goes. But most of these guys get it. They understand the flow. So I expect the same turnout with Isaac in front and Glenn in second at the moment. And then they got a pretty good lead on Nick and Joe Kilmore at the moment. A good maybe 5 to 7 seconds on them.
Yeah, you can see those row splits, and those times, of course, include the transition time in and off the machine. But a 10-second split between those top 3 and then Joe and Nick down in 4th and 5th, that is pretty notable this early on in the race. We're still about a quarter of the way through in terms of expected time, right? We think that finish time will probably be right around or maybe just under 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish I remember Isaac's split time the past 2 races that we've covered, because I wonder if Isaac knows Nick just being right there behind his back, if he wants to try to end it early or make Nick work harder for this first place today. I'm not sure. So I know Isaac wants to bring it today, and I'm sure Nick's the same way, but I wonder if we'll see Isaac go a little faster on the stations because of that, though.
Yeah, so I have it pulled up now. If I'm reading it correctly, then he was at 8:01 coming out of the box step overs in NorCal when he ran a 30:13. So definitely took it out a little slower. I think maybe realizing that this might be a more competitive field up top, and he won't be able to pull away early. That's maybe why he's throttled back a tiny bit.
Right. Yeah, I think you get to some point as well too, right? As a racer, if you have a very fast qualifying time and this will qualify for Worlds, also too, if you just want to win the race, you got to run the race that is given. And right now, if the race is just given what the pace is, then he needs to understand, I can't go all out on certain stations because it could blow up in the back end and I could lose podium or second place to Nick Ryker or anybody else, right? So I think today is just race mode today. Race with the course that's given and the people that's given as well too.
Yeah, we're pretty close to the halfway point of this elite series, and at this point, Isaac has the top 2 men's time, so he's certainly not worried about qualification for World Championships. It's a chance to try out race strategy and maybe put himself in a race for the first time this year, given that he's been about a minute ahead of Glenn each of the last 2.
Man, I'll tell you what, Glenn is giving Isaac a good run. He just passed Isaac on the run. So Glenn is looking to turn up the burners today. I like this. If Glenn was to show up and to win today against Nick Ryker and Isaac Sanderson, man, you talk about the potential change up at what Worlds will look like in December, right? I mean, if anybody had to put any money line on Glenn, the odds are definitely in his favor to win some money. But right now, if he keeps showing up the way he is, why wouldn't he be the world champion this year, right? So this is exciting. He's in first place right now, giving Isaac a good run for his money.
Yeah, a couple of strides ahead. Glenn Race, willing to pull away a tiny bit and just, establish that gap. But Nick Ryker, you mentioned him 4th or 5th a couple of stations ago. Now he's pulled himself into 3rd place, about 5 seconds ahead of Joe Kilmer. So Nick, this is his first race of the season. Maybe he wanted to throttle it back a tiny bit right at the beginning and not caught up in it. And he's certainly an experienced racer. Again, one of less than 10 men to go sub 30.
Yeah, Nick finished on podium every single race last year, including the World Championship. So, yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. There is no questions. What's his fitness level stuff right now? And I fully trust Nick Ryker knows exactly what he's doing because he's very experienced in this field. But Isaac and Glenn, if Glenn is familiar with any racer right now this year, it's Isaac because he's only finished 2nd behind Isaac this whole time. So he knows what type of pace he needs to run in order to win a DEKA race. The bar has been set by Isaac this year.
Absolutely. And this is the point of the race where you might think, these zones in and of themselves aren't difficult, but we've seen that when sometimes athletes who don't have as much DEKA FIT experience, they haven't felt the progression of the race, this is where your core can start to get blown up and you can fall off a little bit. Now, in this case, right, our top 3 are all very experienced racers who have been through this close to 10 times at this point, so I don't expect that to happen. We've seen in the past some other cases where athletes are near the front, and then this is where a move can get made. Here, though, I think this top 3 with Joe Kilmer in the mix as well, they're probably going to be able to sustain and withstand, these next couple of stations and really be ready to crank on the assault bike.
So, Xander, brief second, did you just catch how the setups were between Lazaro and Matt Novakovic? If that doesn't, right there, you can see in the corner of the screen, if you could just tell the difference of someone who's done it before and just who hasn't, right? That right there is a great, clear example. And they're both amazing athletes, right? So I'm not discrediting Matt Novakovic at all by any means. I'm just pointing out, of course, the clear difference of someone who has done it multiple times opposed to someone who's done it once. So, but Matt's still holding his own, though. He's doing great. He's a fast runner. So, with the one thing with DEKA, and I've heard this from Tara Jackson, who's a world champ, she says you can kind of out-cardio some of the stations here at DEKA. And it's true. If you're a fast runner, you'll do decent here at DEKA.
Now we're approaching the halfway point of the race in terms of stations as Glenn Race, Isaac Sanderson, and now Nick Ryker all in on the skier. It looks like Glenn was maybe a second or 2 further ahead than he was going into Station 4. So Glenn's certainly willing to take this race out and moving well right now.
Yeah, he's asserting himself today, and you could see it in his runs, or at least I could see it at least when they run by me. He means business today, and my mistake for saying maybe he'll get 3rd today. I think Glenn, he wants to win it, just like any athlete that's in Heat 1. But man, if he can win today, this will be an exclamation point for sure.
And Glenn, someone who's been fairly consistently around that 31-minute mark, dipped just under at 30:59 in race 2. It was a little bit slower of a race overall for both Isaac and Glenn last time out, but he ran at about 31:20 that time. He wants to make a run at 30 minutes and really cut some time off his PR. So that maybe is playing into how he's taking this race out as well.
Yeah, I think his PR is 30:50, right? So he'll need to take off 50 seconds, which is a lot of time. That is so hard to take off. But like I mentioned earlier, Xander, I mean, Isaac is the standard today. Nick Ryker was the standard last year. he knows what he has to do. He has to go an Isaac and a Nick Ryker pace to break 30. So I think this is exactly what he's doing. And if he blows up in the process, then that's okay too, because it's a learning process. And obviously we'll probably see him at future race. So this is good for him. I think this is great. This is a side of Glenn we need to see.
So Glenn races out at right about 14:30. And it looks like he's extended that gap by a couple of seconds as Isaac comes out at 14:40.
Man, this is exciting. This is great. Nick can't be too far behind, I would imagine, or Joe Kilmore as well.
Yeah, you see Nick in the purple shorts there finishing up.
All right, there we go. Man, they kind of put a gap on Nick Ryker just a little bit. Nick's going to have to definitely turn it up, but, you know, we both know it comes down to the bike, which is 2 stations from now, so that where a lot of time could be made up there. Definitely the run before and after the bike definitely makes a decision maker on the outcome of the race as well. You know, Xander, actually that's something that needs to be shined on just a little bit more. And I think we know this in training, but we always say the bike is really the difference maker, and it is. But the run after the bike actually is the difference maker. Because say you go all out in your runs, but it completely compromises your 500 meters. Say you run usually a 150, 155, 500 meter split. Man, now you're running maybe 215, 220. And if you went all out on the bike, is it worth it? I don't know. And does it compromise the rest of the race for you? So the run after the bike is just as important as the bike itself.
And I still happen to have Isaac Sanderson splits from the last race pulled up, as we were talking about earlier. And this is a perfect example where his run going into the bike last time out was a 151. He had about a 68-second bike and then ran a 154. So he was able to hold it together, only slow down, in quotes, by about 3 seconds. And then he cut it down back to a 151 for the last 2 runs. So that's an example right there of measuring your effort both on the run coming in and the bike itself really well, so that you could, fall off a tiny bit, recover, and then finish strong.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great example of keeping the lead and maintaining the effort and going sub 30 in the process. Nick caught up some ground on that last run. He's right behind them. And here comes Joe. All right, this is exciting.
Yes, we've got our top 4 all in on the Farmers Carry at the same time, although Glenn Race is probably about to finish up, and you see him there drop the dumbbells down. So Glenn is out for run number 7, getting set for the pivotal air bike, with Isaac Sanderson finishing up here momentarily, and Nick Ryker, you can see, 5 or 6 seconds behind him, trying to close that gap.
All right, so there we see the athletes dropping the dumbbells, but Yancey has made this very clear. Just drop them in the box. He's not going to be 100% hardcore on these rule regulations. As long as you're not throwing them at people, dropping them, or impeding another racer, it's not anything to shout at anybody about. These racers are doing exactly what they need to, and no one wants to hurt anybody today. So we're not going to see any of those incidents, intentionally at least.
Yeah, our top 3 or 4 have definitely, pulled away to an extent from the rest of the field, but there are some strong athletes filling out that, 5 through 8 spot right now. I saw Joshua Gonzalez and some others. So this is this might be a case where the talent at the top of the field is just pulling everybody into good times.
I think so. Yeah, when you're centered yourself around it, even like first timers such as Cody or someone like Dylan Moran who's done this for a long time, you get the opportunity to be in the first heat, it will drag you to a personal record, right? You might not podium, and that's okay, but to get your best time just because you're feeding off the energy of the best, it's a great feeling. So these guys are going to be running some fast times because of that as well.
And now you can
see Nick Ryker is right behind Isaac. Yeah, he is right behind him, and it looks like they put a gap against Joe. But Glenn he has got a master lead right now. This is awesome for Glenn.
And sometimes we do frame the farmer's carry as a station where there's not going to be too much separation, but Glenn 4 or 5 seconds ahead of second and third in that one zone. That's the kind of gap that in and of itself maybe isn't super significant, but it adds up over time when you're already leading the race.
Absolutely. All right, man, we got Glenn on the bike. This is right here, this station and the run after. And then you see Ryker and Isaac are also on the bike as well. This right here is going to determine, well, I don't know. Here comes Joe. Let's see what he's got on the assault bike. I don't want to say this will shake up the podium because these guys are going to go to the wire.
You saw Joe there taking the time to make sure he had the height set correctly. He's a bit taller of an athlete, and that's been a change for this year. You know, the seat's all the way down, and it's on the athletes to make that adjustment for themselves as Joshua Gonzalez comes in as well.
Wow. Okay, here we go. So 20:07. Let's see how much of a gap Glenn has put on anyway. Man, if it's about 30 seconds, I think Glenn's going to hold this off. I think Glenn's just too experienced in this field to let 30 seconds of a gap be. All right, Nick Ryker is off.
Nick is out.
About 25 seconds, 25 seconds. I didn't see it exactly, but and about a little over 30 on Isaac. So, man, Glenn could pull this off, Xander. This is fun. I love seeing first place get shaken up every once in a while. This is great.
Yeah, Glenn raced second 2 races in a row, but has kind of seized control of this one after the assault bike. Still 1,500 meters of running and a couple of zones left, but coming up next is the dead ball overs, just given the mechanics of that zone, right, where you have to walk around the structure and pick the ball up every time. You can only go so fast, so that's not necessarily a zone where we see, unless someone is totally blown up from the bike in the run, we don't necessarily see a lot of time made up on that one. So that could give Glenn confidence knowing he'll be able to maintain his lead.
And, man, you can see the splits on here as well, too. Isaac with a 131 bike. Definitely probably slower than we're used to seeing. Almost, 12 seconds slower than Glenn and Nick. And maybe pace-wise for his runs are backing off right now, too. And speaking of the over the walls, he said that's his worst station, or at least the most hated station. So he's got that coming up for him. So if Isaac is looking to win this race, he's going to have to give over this Station 8, the wall overs, and then he's going to have to kick it in high gear for Station 9 and Station 10. I don't want to throw the white flag in quite yet for him because, of course, the race isn't near over yet. But, man, Glenn and Nick are definitely pushing away slightly at the moment.
Yeah, we saw that 119 split for Glenn on the bike. Last race, he was a 115, so a tiny bit slower. And, that's the kind of zone where just easing back the effort a little bit could help you sustain, throughout the last 10 minutes or so of the race.
Yeah, Glenn might be showing just slight fatigue at the moment for taking it out as hot as he did, but maybe Nick is just turning on the burner, lighting the match right now. Either way, Xander, we're in for a very interesting finish right now between these two.
Yeah, Nick Ryker is moving very well as a guy that, was okay letting the top few get away, so to speak, on the first run, has run his race so far, pulled himself from 4th or 5th place after zone 3 all the way up into 2nd, and he's on the hunt. But Isaac Sanderson, certainly not over for him. He's on this zone now as well.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, this race isn't near over yet. Oh, this is exciting. This is good.
So that was about a 23-12. So Nick has pulled it back to within 10 seconds. He's closed the gap on him. Let's see where Isaac is after this. There's Josh and Connor Bell. Maybe shaping out who the top 5 is going to be today. So Xander, Glenn is still in first. Wow, look at the difference in the Station 8. Wow.
So I want to say Nick Ryker probably didn't make up too much gap in the run after the assault bike, but man, he sure as heck did it on Station 8. Wow. Nick Ryker has lit a match, everybody. He is ready. Glenn, you better hold on to your hat, man.
Yeah, and that 106 was essentially the exact same split that Glenn had last time on the dead ball wallover. So that goes to show the kind of effort that Nick was able to pull in coming off of the bike. So he certainly has paced this race very well for him.
You know, and I want to say, Xander, at least myself, I kind of deem Station 8 as not really a station that you can make a move on, honestly. I just I feel like it's kind of tied for a lot of times. But, man, look at the difference of the times we got here, even through the top 6. These are substantial differences between athletes who, let's just say, are very similar in fitness, right? So it's man, this is Nick Ryker doing it in 52 seconds is flying, right? So that does show you there is a big difference.
Absolutely. You saw the second and third fastest times on that wallover were our 5th and 6th place athletes in Connor Bell and Joshua Gonzalez. So those guys have been in a battle and are certainly showing out. Obviously, you know, we're focused more, at least as the race is unfolding, on the top 3, but some strong performances a little bit deeper in the field as well.
All right, man, here we go. It's high noon right here in Texas, Xander. The Outlaws have showed up. They got their revolvers in hand, and it's going to be a shootout at this end, man. This is going to be – I'm ready. Nick has definitely made ground on Glenn. Glenn needs to give it everything he's got on this last run. Let's just hope these burpees are clean. That's what we want to see. Clean burpees, clean transition at the end, because it's going to come down to the burpees. It just is, unless one of these guys just blow up on the run. But it's so I hope everything's just done properly. Come on, Isaac.
I mean, look at how fast Nick is pulling that sled.
He's man. You know, and maybe there's a strength difference in that, right? So, yeah, Nick has definitely taken the lead. Oh, this is fun.
I believe Nick and Glenn are on the same rep, but Nick was a few seconds behind and is now very clearly 4 or 5 seconds ahead, just continuing to assert himself here.
Yep, I think they're on their third right now. Nick with the slight advantage. Isaac on his second. Joe Kilmore and Joshua Gonzalez on their first. Josh is fighting. Oh, and there's Connor Bell. Yeah, so they're very well battling for fourth. And if Isaac maybe, I mean, with his station times dying off just slightly, he's got to watch out for that third place. Because Connor Bell and Joshua, we all know this. When you run in no man's land, you're kind of just in your own head, right? But when you have other people next to you, you feed off that. And they will, Connor, Joshua, and Joe Kilmore will feed off that energy together.
Yeah, the last time we saw Joshua Gonzalez, he was in fourth place in SoCal, about a minute behind Grayson Kilgore, and that was a race where Grayson was up, toward the front, fell back a little bit.
Right.
So Joshua really didn't have anyone to chase. Whereas here, he and Connor Bell have been sort of back and forth, or at least close to each other for the majority of this race.
All right, here goes Nick. All right, here we go. Glenn's going to have to turn on the burners to catch him. Here we go. We're looking at about 8 to 10 seconds.
So here's the last run for our top two competitors, Nick Ryker and Glenn Race. Nick was as far back as fourth or fifth, then pulled himself into third, then brought himself into second, has now made the pass and trying to build that lead. Two guys with great running ability trying to give it everything they've got while still keeping just enough in the tank to hammer out these 20 burpees.
Yeah, this is, let's see if Glenn can finally pop this silver medal trend that's going for him, this streak. Let's see if he can wrap gold around his neck today. But Nick Ryker, well, I'm looking at about a 10-second gap right now. Maybe 5 to 7. Oh man. Yeah, Glenn's closing in Nick just slightly. As they make the turnaround, they got 2 more turns before they come in.
There's another big split difference on the tank push and pull. So about 15 seconds
Wow.
Nick has made up on
Yeah.
each of the last 2 stations.
Yeah. Yeah, Glenn could be hurting right now. Because, I mean, Glenn's on – wait, what's his fastest time? 30-50? He very well could get a PR today. And he's definitely on track for it. But he's getting a good taste of what the World Championships speed is going to be like, right? So this is good. Get it done early, and then prepare for it come December. All right, here comes Nick. He's going to have about a
PR or a sub-30 for Nick Ryker, but a great opportunity to get a season-opening win. But here comes Glenn, only, about 2 reps behind.
Yeah, it's possible. Anything can happen. Here's the shootout, Xander. Here it is right here. Can Glenn – Nick's moving just a little smoother, though. I don't know. Unless Glenn just turns on the burners, it looks like Nick's going to kind of out-hold the shootout right here.
Yeah, I think Nick is approaching the halfway mark in the next rep or so. He definitely seems like he's moving a little bit faster than Glenn.
Yeah.
Those 2 reps started about the same time, and Nick finished first. So it looks like Nick Ryker is about to put the finishing touches on a season debut victory here at DEKA FIT Austin.
Yeah, Nick has, wow, it keeps the DEKA podium streak alive. Mr. DEKA 2023, the DEKA MVP of last year, in my opinion, making his return and his presence known that, hey, this is still my sport, and I'm coming for gold this year. And here comes Isaac.
And there it is. Nick Ryker sets it down and will step across the line. 30-50 unofficially. A strong time for Nick Ryker.
Welcome back, Mr. Ryker. And let's see if Glenn, no PR for Glenn, but still a great effort nonetheless. Led the majority of the race, made Nick and Isaac work for it. Congrats to Glenn for, 3 straight second place podiums, right?
Talk about consistency. 3 straight second places, 3 straight races between 30-59 and 31-20. This is a much different style of race given that he led the majority of it, only to have Nick close him down, but a very strong performance for Glenn Race nonetheless.
Xander, I don't know what Isaac's rep lead is on Josh, but Josh is moving on these repetitions of these burpees. I'm not sure maybe where we're at on this, but okay, so Isaac taking 3rd. So I think we got our top 3 predictions right. It just got switched up just slightly, but congrats to Isaac, still rounding out podium.
Credit to Nick Ryker for making us wrong.
Welcome back, man. It's got a nice sweaty fist bump by Mr. DEKA himself, so Nick is definitely pumped up right now.
And there's Connor Bell and Joshua Gonzalez diving across the line, coming in right next to each other. I'm not even sure who got 4th and who got 5th. We'll have to get those times as soon as we can. But great performances by the 2 of them to come in well under 33 minutes.
Absolutely, yeah. Those are guys that you would say would be like mid-pack elite, like right on the border of the cusp of podium. And these are guys that just the more experience and training that they get will be the future of the sport once the other names, retire or move up and stuff. So these are guys you can watch out for later this year or next year as well.
And I mean, I think the effort is right there in the split times. Our 2 fastest burpee times by almost 10 seconds are 4th and 5th because they were racing together and in that back and forth battle. No podium position or prize money on the line, but they're still giving it everything that they had to try and get as far up in the field as now Lazaro Perez and some other athletes finish up.
Yeah, these are the athletes that you see on the screen right now that you say belong in the elite heat, and they do. They belong in it, but these are the guys that will kick everybody's ass in the age group divisions, and we know this, right? So it's like these are the athletes that draw the line. Do I do age group? Do I win age group? Or do I do elite and just give it everything I got? I might not podium, but I'll finish top 5, which is very respected. So congratulations to all the remaining athletes because all these guys deserve to be in both of those categories.
Yeah, by racing
And then
against people who are a little bit better than you, that's a way to improve and a way to know that, hey, okay, where are my losing time? Where do I need to refine, what I'm doing? And that's going to pay off, if they do compete in the age group division when World Championships come around.
Yeah, Xander, I tell most people this, that want to be competitive, right? And say they're a high-level age group competitor, they podium or at least get close to it, run one elite race, just one, and don't do it to try to win it. Just be there, be present, and understand what the difference in the pace is. You have to give it everything you got, and you got to understand what these world-class athletes are doing on their level, and it only makes them a better athlete. Xander, we got Nick Ryker joining us at the moment, so we're going to give him a good interview here.
What up, Xander?
What's going on?
I'm racing.
Well, Nick Ryker, welcome back, dude. Not a single presence left from the World Championships last year, man. You came back, asserted yourself in first place. Walk through it, man. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm not in that great of shape, to be honest. I've just had a very busy first half of the year.
Sure.
First year teacher, trying to learn how to teach. I guess a bunch of flu from all my students. My stomach issue came up again. And then I was just training. The only time I had to train was with my middle school track team, which isn't very much for this high level. So it's summer break now, and I was like, let's just try to get some good training in. Let's get racing. So today I wasn't expecting much, just put in a good effort. I haven't worked much station work since World, so it was like, let's just run hard, easy on the stations, and let's just see what happens. And every station, I lost time, but my runs, I felt like I was gaining back. And then I passed Isaac after the bike, and then I got Glenn. I was like, I'm just building momentum. I was like, once I pass him, they're not coming back towards me. And then I was able to hold off Glenn in the burpees, and the time wasn't amazing, but it's superhuman in here, and I'm just happy to get a win. Happy to get a win, happy to compete. So I'm super fired up. Isaac has been on fire this year. I mean, he's a sub-30 guy in shape, sub-60 high rocks guy.
Absolutely.
Glenn still going sub-16-minute 5Ks like it's nothing. So
right.
For me to come out with a W like this, it's just like, all right, summer break is all on, and I'm ready to get really fit now.
Yeah, usually when people enter back into the sport and stuff, they always wonder if this win is legitimate. Like you just mentioned, those two guys that you beat today, that's a legitimate win. Isaac, like you said, is at the peak before now. He's at the height. He is we could say maybe the current base at the moment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Glenn right behind him, right? Because the consistency of them finishing on the podium and stuff. So your win today definitely is a very dominant win today.
Yeah.
And just asserts and gives us more excited. And Xander, you can say the same for the World Championships later this year.
And that's all I'm focused on is Worlds. Also High Rocks. I want to get really into High Rocks, but also just Worlds. Like I had an awesome race last year, but there's no going back now. It's only getting better. I have to get better.
Right.
There isn't until December, so there's no rush to get in peak shape.
Sure.
So to come out with a win today was just freaking awesome. I had a little chip on my shoulder because Yancey posted that poll on Instagram. It was like, who's going to win today? And only like 20% of people voted for me. I was like, I know I haven't raced yet this year, but I'm still pretty good, I feel like. So just come out and to get a win against those guys is just, I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped for it.
That's good, man. That's good.
Yeah, and it seemed like you ran a smart race given what you've said, knowing, hey, you haven't had a great time to put in a ton of specific training, just stepping out and see what I've got. Going up against Isaac and Glenn, who have raced twice in the last, 6 weeks or so, it seemed like at least at the very beginning, you were willing to let them go, let sort of the very front of the pack establish itself, and then work your way into it, and clearly that paid off for you.
Yeah, the goal was to run 52-second laps, so I was looking at my clock religiously. So that goes out to about a 17:05 5K. I didn't hit that today. I went 17:50, but I started off strong with them, and then I was like, the rower, I'm going to have to just take a break on if I want to keep my pace up. So I was only rowing like 155s. And those guys are rowing like low 140s, and then they got out to a huge lead. And I was like, if they beat me like that, that's awesome. If I run my race and I run a low 17 5K, and I run a sub 31 DEKA, then like that's the goal, and that's where I want to be till Worlds. It's around this fitness, and then just pop off. So yeah, I let them go, and then I just got that momentum, and I was able to pass both.
And I liked it that you said you were running with the chip on your shoulder, man, because last year I would say a lot of people would probably not count for you to finish top 3 in podium at the World Championships.
Right.
And you did that, man, and you did it. And I made sure that I said, Nick Ryker is going to be on this podium this time because throughout the year you podiumed every single race. You're still on a streak going right now, right? So I love that you said that, man, because some people will forget that when a new face shows up and emerges, such as Isaac Sanderson. Like I said, it's hard to argue that he's not the face still, but man, the fact that you just now reemerge and just showcase saying, I'm Nick MF Ryker. I'm right here. I've never left, and this is what I'm going to do. And leading into Worlds, man, that's exciting. We're excited for you, man. I think you're gonna do tremendous for the remainder of the year. Now, is there any races before World Championships?
I'll do DEKA Carolina.
Okay.
I'm going to do that, and then I'll do teams with my brothers, which I'm super pumped up.
Oh,
He's my
exciting.
Big brother.
Okay.
He hates running, so I'm super pumped to do that with him. I'm going to try to get to Philly, and I'm going to try to get to Florida. Florida's also my 10-year high school reunion, so I don't know which one do I go to, the DEKA or the 10-year high school reunion.
There's always a 15 or
There's
20.
always a 15. But, and then, so I'll be at Philly. I can't make it to the Midwest one. That's our first week of school coming back up. We won in Indiana, but yeah, all eyes on Worlds.
So there's quite a few then. We'll see.
You'll see me at
awesome.
DEKA, Carolina, and Philly for sure.
Awesome, man. And then, Xander, do you have another question as well?
No, I think we're good. Obviously, the women have just started, but yeah, no.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Good to hear from you, Nick. Great showing this morning.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you, Xander. Thank you. Why am I?
It's okay.
Luke, thank you, Luke. Oh, my gosh. I just blanked on names.
Man.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Xander. That was embarrassing, but you guys are awesome. Thank you, OCR Report. My family back home gets to see it. My students get to see it. My coworkers get to see it. It's always awesome to do this.
Bringing out the W, buddy.
Thank you guys so much.
Let's do it, man.
Appreciate it.
Good seeing you, Nick. No, you're good, man. You're good.
A little bit of post-race race brain for Nick Ryker there, but
that's all. That's all it is. It's has nothing to do with me not, being a nobody. It's all good.
So we're well underway here in our women's heat. You see Alex Walker there in the pink top. We expect her to be near the front of this race. She kind of led the pack coming in. It just like Nick, it's her season debut. Bit of a hometown race for her, living and training in the Texas heat. So excited to see what she can do. But there's a field behind her that should hopefully provide some competition, and excited to see how this unfolds.
Yeah, I think there is going to be someone who decently competes with her as well too. Allison Outlaw, who is pictured in the blue, that just ran out as well. She is also from Austin, Texas. Trains at Central Texas, I think is what it's called, CrossFit. And so she won, I believe, all her age group world titles last year at the World Championships. So she is someone to definitely be respected in this field. Alex probably has the clear distinction of the best running, as the best runner in the field today. And Charity Bourne's another one as well too. She's from Lake Jackson, so let's talk about someone who deals with humidity on a recurring basis, because that's what Nick was saying, that it's pretty humid in here. And then Paige as well too. These are all ladies that I think will shape out the podium for today's race.
Yeah, you talk about the humidity. I think that's one thing that surprised me when I did my first DEKA Fit in Orlando the end of last year. Is like, oh, I've been training in the Florida heat all summer. Clearly this will feel nice inside, but it's a relatively small space, and once everything gets moving, it does not feel cool by any means. So Alex Walker, Allison Outlaw, Paige Lewis are top three, and we'll see how that unfolds as Alex has certainly opened up a bit of a lead here early on.
One name that we had on the list before the race started, Xander, was Julie Best, and we don't see her out there, and we don't see the splits. So it's unfortunate that we're not seeing her compete, because that is someone who definitely would be finishing podium today, in my opinion, because she's been killing it this year as well. And then, but there is Heather White out there. Now, Heather White is definitely probably the strongest female athlete. If it's not Allison, it's definitely Heather White. Her and Dustin Needham are teaming up later today in co-ed. And from my understanding, Dustin's going to do all the running. She's going to do all the stations. That would be the first time I will ever see that. So that will be exciting to see. But expect Heather to make some ground probably on all the stations. But I think right now this is going to be Alex and Allison's race with Paige. Let's see what Paige is. Lewis right next to Allison right there. And I think this is Paige's first pro race. She usually contends in age group and does fairly well. So I think this is her first pro debut.
Yeah, Alex Walker certainly comes in with, the top times historically. Her PR 34.06. She's also a sub-20 mile athlete and a sub-14 strong athlete. So she's someone who continues to mix it up in the OCR and ultra space, but has also emphasized DEKA FIT a lot in the last couple of years.
Absolutely, yeah. I love that. Alex, when she first showed up into it, she goes, "I'm just here." Alex is very competitive, just like we all are, and she goes, "I'm just here." She knows she's one of the fastest runners, if not the fastest runner in the field in any given female field. But we know the stations obviously play a big factor in compromising your run and how you perform on the stations, which maybe she's been doing a lot of work on this offseason. But last year, that was the mindset. She's just here. She's going to do it. If she wins, she wins. But this year could be totally different. I didn't get the chance to speak with her this time around. But right now, she's rowing a 2-minute pace, which is a great pace, I think, from a female standpoint, for sure. And she's running phenomenal right now. So this will I'm excited to see what her overall time is going to be. And I hope Allison and Paige and Charity give her a good run to help her push the pace.
Yeah, absolutely, because right now, depending on how this unfolds over the next couple of stations, it could turn into a bit of a time trial for Alex, like we've seen at a few races this year, and we'll sort of keep an eye on her times and how they relate to the rest of what we've seen on the leaderboard so far. But so 6:33, Alex Walker comes out of zone 2.
So she's got about a 10-second gap. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, roughly 10 seconds. Let's see what Allison Outlaw's time difference is. About 2.5 minute difference PR-wise from Alex, which that's pretty substantial. So, and I think a lot of that has to do with maybe the running, right? And but also too, Allison, I don't know if she's ever done pro as well, honestly. So, like you mentioned, it turns into a time trial, right? But if she was competing in age group and just dominated her age group, who did she have to push her, right? So maybe now she's in the right scenario where she has Alex to drift off of and push her. Maybe we can actually see Allison Outlaw pull off a 34, 35 time.
Yeah, absolutely. 36:31, her PR coming in. But if she's only 10 seconds back after zone 2, I mean, you extrapolate that over the course of a race, it's, 50 seconds to a minute. Plenty of things to play out, and that may change. Obviously, we have a few game-changing stations ahead, but if she's able to, this is the kind of athlete who, first time we've seen her on the course this year in the pro division, just like you talked about with some of these either athletes who have competed in an age group or are looking to take that next step and establish themselves in the elite heat, just to stick your nose in it and see how you fare. And obviously right now she's got a potential chance at a podium because she's in a very strong second place.
For sure. And I guess too, Allison needs to know that, we're kind of just talking about her and kind of it seems like I'm solidifying her second place. But we got to watch out for the women that's right behind her, right? I mean, I don't really know their overall – these are all kind of new women into the pro division, right? Or at least that we've covered this year. They very well could be capable of a 35. So, and if Allison runs a 36 today, very well could maybe not even make podium. So we have names such as, I think, Allison Morrison that was up there. She's not far behind. And then, of course, like I mentioned, Charity and Paige before. And then maybe a couple of other names that I'm not too familiar with. So this is what always makes the races exciting. These, names that we don't typically cover making their debuts. And we typically see it more in the female field than we do the male field. And I love that. I love that about the sport, and I think it's great to change it up as well.
Yeah, but we saw that last race in California. Katie D'Ambrosia essentially heard about DEKA FIT from someone at her gym the week before the race. Decided to show up. She's someone that comes from the long-distance ultra-marathon background, and she ended up winning the race kind of, out of nowhere, so to speak. And right now, we don't have that. All of these top athletes have at least established times, in the DEKA FIT space. But now we've got a really good battle emerging. Third here.
I think the lady in the neon top is Allison Morrison. So Allison and Allison throwing down right now. Similar heights, a little different builds. Allison Outlaw, definitely a strong athlete. Can make most men cry. And Allison Morrison, I mean, very tall athlete, but made those box overs look very easy. And she looks like she's a very smooth runner also.
Yeah, her stride looks very easy right now. Now, granted, we're still early in this race, but she's someone kind of like we saw from Nick in the sense that she sort of didn't take it out right with the very front of the pack, worked her way into the race, and now, she's moved into second place.
Yeah, now we're transitioning into the mid-race stations, right? This is where who's gonna hang on for the podium spot here, and I'm not gonna throw out Paige, Charity, Heather, or even Skylar. Well, Skylar's split's not there, but she still could be competing. They're not that far behind at the moment between the Allisons, but man, Alex is really pulling away right now, and you can even see from station time, even the stronger athletes are still. She's doing it just as fast, if not faster. So Alex is really pushing away, and I think she's going to push away even more on these middle stations. And I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for Alex today. Yeah, she's making these look pretty easy. And her last name, Walker. I mean, come on, you're in Texas. Alex Texas Ranger Walker. I'm pretty sure that's her middle name. And if she says otherwise, she's lying to you. So she's here to dominate, and she knows it. And I'm pretty sure last year, too, she won the Austin. So this will be back-to-back home wins. Now, I know we're early, but I'm just going to call it as it is. But this would be good to just win in the hometown again for her, qualify for Worlds. Hopefully she runs fast enough time to where maybe she doesn't feel like she has to come out again. And hopefully she goes up for Worlds as well, too. She's definitely got the speed to shake up a few things.
For sure. And as we've seen both on the box step overs and then there on the med ball sit-ups, it's a clear indication just with her kind of consistent movement patterns and approach. It's someone who trains for this and who practices the specificity of the race and prepares herself to where, she's stepping on the line in a race for the first time this year, but it's not the first time that she's done this type of work by any means because she's looked very smooth so far as now Allison Morrison comes out in second place.
Yeah, if it wasn't last year, it was the year prior that she did DEKA for the first time. But she's not Alex Walker isn't an athlete who does it on a recurring basis, such as like Isaac or Nick or Glenn, right? We've seen him at every single DEKA race. It seems like this year. Alex is probably one of those who's just going to do it here because it's convenient for her. It's 10 minutes down the road, right? And for her to show up and throw down the way that she is, you could tell she's been training for this. Maybe it might have just been a small training block, but she has been working on specific movements. But she's experienced enough to also where I think that she could get away with maybe not training for it because she's just experienced. I throw that word around quite often, actually. I need to come up with a different word. Yeah, she's killing it on the splits right now.
We've got a bit of a battle emerging a bit deeper in the field with Heather White and Paige Lewis pretty much stride for stride at this point. Heather certainly someone who comes in sort of with a reputation as being one of the best athletes on the stations, but if she can, continue to put it together on the run, maybe putting herself in a position for a podium spot here. She's currently sitting in fourth place.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this is where these stations 5, 6, and 7 is going to be exciting to watch for that mid-pack. And then here comes Alex about to lap all of them. That could switch up the podium, right? And if the two Allisons are killing it right now as far as going out too hot, these ladies in the mid-pack are going to reel them in and feed off the energy that they're doing right now. Yeah, Alex is looking strong. She's looking good. She's got a good tempo, a fast tempo too on the ski erg. So she's feeling strong. You could tell Alex is definitely feeling fit. She looks fit. She's killing it.
So we're about 15 minutes into this race. Again, this station is effectively the halfway point in terms of work, not necessarily the halfway point in terms of time, given you've got the bike, you've got the tank push and pull later on. But again, our second and third place Allisons are neck and neck, standing next to each other here on the ski erg. So a lot to play out for these podium positions.
Yeah, this is exciting. It's good. It's always good when you have a battle for podium. We see it often in our sport that people run away with it, and people can run away with it pretty early in a lot of cases. Maybe the field's just not as competitive, and that's okay. There's nothing you could do about it as an athlete. You can only race against the people that are there, right? And so, but as far as like the other people, it's good for just viewers at home, and it's good for the sport to see people that can go down to the wire. So this is a fun battle, and it's good for this is a great opportunity for these ladies to make a name for themselves today. They got the spotlight on them, and it's time to showcase their skills. A lot of times these are maybe ladies who don't get footage, right? So
absolutely, we saw Paige, Charity, and Heather all pretty much come in at the same time and start the ski erg together, and that's your fourth, fifth, and sixth. So again, we've got a lot of action to unfold here.
Yeah, this is a good race. And look at just the size difference between Heather and Alex. Heather is a very strong athlete. Look at the strong pulls. I'm excited to see how her and Dustin do in the relay. I really am. If she is in fact doing all the stations, that's I've never seen it before. So we'll see it.
Yeah, we talked a lot about what the best strategy for, splitting up the work in the team format is, and I don't think that's one that we've ever considered. But yeah, interesting to see how that unfolds later today.
And then, I might argue to say that Paige and Charity probably are the faster runners out of that group with Heather, but Heather is just so good on the stations that I think she's just maintaining and keeping that gap short, or if not ahead of Paige and Charity. But Heather very well might have been working on her running on the off season too. It's when it's people's first races, we have no idea what they're capable of, right? We can just argue based off their results from previous races. But I mean, Nick said it also too during an interview, right? He's been training with his middle school track team. That's all he's been doing, and he was still able to squeak out a 31. So not near as fast as he's done it before, but I mean, 31 is still flying, and it was enough to win the race. So it definitely is a good time. So we have no idea what these women are capable of that have been doing on this off training.
Yeah, and I do have the split times now pulled up from Katie D'Ambrosio last race, just for some context in terms of how Alex is moving through these stations. So after the farmer's carry, Katie was at 20:07. So I think Alex is going to be pretty well in front of that here.
Wow.
As she's going to come into this station pretty soon.
And Katie she's a runner. I mean, she looked very smooth from what I remember. She was, she looked very, maybe obviously a little compromised because she's never done anything like this before. But yeah, Alex is, well ahead of that time right now. She'll get out of here right around probably 1920 to 1930. So yeah, she's well ahead of time. And what was Katie's overall time?
It was a 35:36. So
okay,
right now, Katie D'Ambrosio from the last race, she's sitting in sixth place on the leaderboard. Obviously, we have Lauren Weeks at the top, having set a world record. Vivian Tafudo and Lauren Griffith both right around the 33-minute mark. But this is an opportunity for Alex to put herself comfortably in the top 10, if not the top 5. She's going to be about probably 35 seconds ahead of Katie's split time coming out of this station.
Yeah. Yeah, she is definitely racing herself at the moment. And if she's obviously very capable of a 34. And I want to say, when she ran that 34, it might have been Austin last year, which, of course, she was by herself last year, too. I don't think there was much competition, if my memory is correct. But it looks like Allison Morrison kind of cut the gap a little bit here.
Yeah, less than 30 seconds, but Allison Outlaw is less than 10 seconds behind her. So I think having those two athletes, with each other, so to speak, is helping pull them forward a little bit while you've got someone at the front without really anyone else to feed off.
All right, so Xander, actually, this is actually might be very exciting. So they're about, what, 30 seconds, 40 seconds maybe behind Alex. Could this gap be made shorter or caught up during the bike? Because I know Allison Outlaw can crush that bike, and I'm sure Allison Morrison can too. They seem to be bigger athletes, stronger athletes. I don't know. Is this where they make the gap on Alex at all?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think, Heather White is certainly going to throw down a great bike time herself, although she's over a minute behind at this point. So that may be too much. But yeah, I mean, we've seen Allison Outlaw be fairly close, if not faster, than Alex Walker on a lot of these stations. And we've seen the bike be a game changer. And just given the fact that it's, 25 calories for both men and women, and it's not scaled, it's a station that in this heat is going to just take more time, and there is an opportunity if someone goes faster, therefore to make up more time. So this race isn't necessarily over, although Alex has been in front by 20 to 30 seconds for most of it.
Right. And Alex, I think she knows this, of course. So giving herself that time gap than before is definitely well strategized, and I think it's very important as well. She needs to be a good 10 cows at least ahead if she can before one of the first Allisons get in. All right, I didn't see what time she came in, but maybe 20 seconds, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was about 21:40 to 21:45. So, yeah, it's going to be close to maybe 25 seconds by the time Allison Morrison actually gets started here.
So, okay, there's Outlaw. Now, let's see how Allison Morrison is on the bike. But Allison Outlaw, like I said, she makes grown men cry. She's going to crush this bike. Let's see if Alex can maintain the lead. She's digging into the pain cave a little bit, but she knows it. Definitely an experienced athlete, so she's very familiar with the threshold pain. This is where also, too, Heather White can make a big move. If let's say this compromises the Allisons so much, or Alex, I'll throw all three in. Why not? If this compromises them too much, but Heather White, so she's getting onto the bike at least before one of them leaves, and I think that Heather White's really going to push away from Paige and Charity at this point. But Heather White could very well be right in the mix after this, depending on her bike.
Yeah, this is a station where when you're a taller athlete, you can really use those longer levers. You can see a difference in just the effort. Now, granted, Alex is approaching the end of these 25 calories and Heather is just getting started, but Heather White's movement is just so much more efficient at this point, and she's really kind of working her way into it and measuring her pace to an extent.
Yeah, I think these ladies have caught ground on Alex a little bit, but still maintaining her lead, which is important because now she can use the run to her advantage, which we both know she is the best runner on the field, compromised or not. So this is her chance right now to maintain that gap, because here comes Allison Morrison and Allison Outlaw. Wow. Yeah, they make ground for sure.
So maybe a 15 to 20 second gap, maybe closer to 15 seconds for Allison Morrison, 20 seconds for Allison Outlaw. Alex Walker still leading this race.
Yeah, look at that.
And you can see it right there. Yeah, 10-second gap between Alex and Allison Morrison, and then almost 10 seconds even faster than that was Allison Outlaw.
Yep. Yeah, because I want to say Outlaw came in about 5-10 seconds before she sat on the bike after Morrison. So you see it. It's all perfect 10-second gaps, right? And I think Alex – wow, look at Heather White's time. Wow. Flying. 137.
Yeah, I think you
Allison's
said it.
Better watch out.
Yeah, you said it as Heather came in that was going to be the point where she would pull away from Paige and Charity. Now the question becomes,
Absolutely.
does she have enough left on these runs to try and close the gap even more? Because she made up almost 30 seconds on Allison Outlaw, more than 30 seconds on the rest of this field.
Absolutely. Man, wow, what a station time. That's almost faster than Isaac Sanderson today, man. Heather's thrown it down, man. This is great. This is actually one of the first races I could say, Xander, that 3 out of these 4 women are definitely maybe more stronger athletes than they are runners, right? I mean, it seems like we see typically runners, we're all hybrid runners, but Allison's and Heather are all like strong athletes. So this is exciting to see how they fare between each other. While you have Alex, who's obviously a clear runner out in front, but this is they're showcasing their abilities right now, and it's amazing. This 40-pound ball dead overs is going to be nothing for these ladies. And the sled.
So our race leader, Alex Walker, is in on this station.
Allison's right behind her. Oh, man. She's not far behind. This has turned into a race, Sander.
Might be closer to Alex Walker than to third place Allison Outlaw. You saw Alex kind of a bit of a hesitation a couple of reps ago getting the ball over. That's maybe just an indicator that fatigue is setting in a little bit, although similarly a bit of a fumble there from Allison Morrison.
Yeah, this station right now I think is just a few seconds here or there, right? They all look like they're going at the same tempo, so I don't really see too much of a mix-up, but if Alex is not feeling as compromised after that assault run, this next run, she needs to pull away because the sled is next, and I think the ladies behind her have already asserted that they're stronger. Alex needs to turn on the burners right here. If she's got to match the burn, she needs to do it right here on this run. She needs to give herself a good, at least push distance, length away from the other ladies. But, I mean, one push-pull would be ideal, but she needs to be at least one push length away.
Alex Walker is on track for a borderline top 5 time in the world this year, but she's got some work to do to make sure she wins this race, although it does seem like she's been able to sustain or perhaps open up the gap a bit as Allison Morrison in the inset screen is still working on this zone and now finally comes out.
Yeah, this just got exciting. To think that it might have been pulled away, there I am just thinking that it was all said and done early in the race, and you think I would know better by now, Xander, but this is turned into a bit of a showdown.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier that coming in, right, just looking at past PRs, Alex has been about 2.5 minutes faster in this format than Allison Outlaw, but Allison Outlaw's hung in there, fell back to third, but both her and Allison Morrison are staying, well within that 2+ minute gap at this point. And you can see, though, an example of Alex
killed it,
able to sustain, through the bike, through the next run, and then start to pull back some of that gap.
Wow. Yeah. Either the two Allisons maybe just sold it a little too much on the bike and on the run maybe afterwards, but Alex just crushed that Station 8. Wow. And I think she knows it too, actually. Now that she knows that they're kind of breathing down her neck a little bit, I think she just turned it on a little bit more. So she's got a switch in her. I know she does, and once that switch is there, good luck and hold on. A wild stallion here in Texas.
This is run number 9 for our top competitors. Alex Walker finishing it up here in just a bit. She'll be onto the tank push and pull, which is zone 9.
Heather White looks smooth in her runs, though. Yeah, Alex is moving this good. If she can just be one whole length away. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, one whole length. Okay. Yeah, she's in an ideal position right now to maintain the lead, I think. Because I think Allison Outlaw will push and pull is just slightly faster than Alex, but
having that
shout out to the Rabbits.
is
real quick, shout out to the Rabbits. You can see the little man holding the camera right there in the blue, and then there's another one too. It's Alex's track team that I believe she coaches. She brought out her athletes to be our Rabbits today, and these kids are pretty quick themselves. I told them, I said, just make sure you outrun your coach, and if she's ahead, just pull ahead of her, so.
So Alex Walker and Allison Outlaw continue to pull and push roughly the same pace. Allison Outlaw moving maybe a little bit faster overall, but Alex is a full length ahead.
Yeah, Alex is looking strong. She's looking good right now. It's her race to lose, and it's been that way this entire race, and she knows it. And, wow, look at Heather. Did you just see that? Do we know if the damper setting's not on the kid setting? That was stupid impressive.
Yeah, it looked like Heather was basically running while pushing that tank.
Wow. Oh, God. I'm so weak. It's just when I watch this stuff and how these women can do it, man, I am so weak, Xander. This is really impressive. Wow, Heather, it could catch Allison Morrison right now.
So Alex Walker still hanging in there. She's given up a tiny bit of time, but has now finished. Okay. So 31:40 for Alex Walker. And she's right now ahead of the split time that Katie Duke had a couple of races ago when Katie ran 35:09, which is currently the number 5 time in the world. So Alex is certainly
she very well could beat that.
Yeah, and
absolutely
in position to jump into the top 5 here overall.
All right, there goes Allison Outlaw, which Allison Outlaw's top time, 36:31. Wow, she's shaping up to have a tremendous PR. Like I mentioned, I mean, every race that I think she's done is age group. Now that she's done elite, now she can get the feel what a 2-minute faster time is. She very well could be in the 35s. Oh, Alex is running fast right now, Xander. Wow.
On her last run as well.
Yeah, Alex has lit a match. She is zooming past all these age group athletes right now beside me. She wants it. She wants it bad right now. I can tell.
Yeah, and here's a look at Alex Walker kind of navigating a bit of the traffic on course. Again, the way that this works with some age group athletes getting sent out in waves, after these elite women start. Obviously, everyone running the same 250-meter loop 20 times in a race. Traffic builds up, but she seems to be able to navigate it pretty well, and there's plenty of open ground as well.
Yeah, she's looking good. And Heather White with a fast sled time. Not as fast as I thought, though. I thought it was going to be more around 2 or sub 2, but still enough to gap in Allison Morrison, who needs to just watch out because, I mean, Heather's right there. I don't know what Heather's last run is going to look like, but Heather White's knocking on podium door right now.
So on the big screen, we've got Alex Walker, a race leader. The inset screen is Allison Outlaw, second place, trying to claw her way back to the extent that she can, or at least put more distance between her and Allison Morrison. So Alex Walker now into the burpee zone, should have a pretty substantial lead, and yeah, she looks strong, at least on these first few reps.
Yeah, she's going to have probably close to a 10-rep lead coming into this, and it doesn't look like she's slowing down. And she's looking, not a PR today, but that's all right. Still, like you said, Katie Duke of time of 35:06, right, is 10th at the moment. So she's looking at definitely a top 10 or 5th. Oh, wow, a top 5
fifth, yeah. So
world's time.
Katie Duke 35:09, and then Katie D'Ambrosio was 35:36. So Alex certainly is going to pass into 6th place. Still has an outside chance of a top 5 time so far this year.
Wow, that's great. And Allison Outlaw, too, possibly. It's a burpee off, though. But, Alex, congrats. Welcome back to the DEKA Arena. A definitely well-deserved win. Let's just hope she doesn't throw the ram roller, which I don't think she will.
Just a couple of reps left for Alex Walker, although Allison Outlaw right next to her trying to put a stamp on second
There
place.
it is.
Alex sets it
Perfect.
down, and she come through at almost exactly the same time that Katie Duke had. So a borderline top 5 times so far this year through 4 races for Alex Walker. Possibly, if she wants it, one and done in terms of World Championship qualification. A strong win as well, kind of withstanding a bit of a charge, as now Allison Outlaw working her way through her final couple of reps. And she's got a pretty solid PR, going under 36 for the first time.
Wow. Yeehaw, Allison Outlaw, man. Walker and Outlaw are top 2 in Texas. Tell me that's not rigged at all, Xander.
Morrison, we could have done our predictions just based on name and been good to go.
Yeah. Morrison sounds right as well, so. Well, Heather White, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the rep count is on Heather Morrison, but I think she's got a decent gap on Heather White at the moment. And, yep, there's our top 3.
So Allison Morrison finishes in 3rd place. She stuck her nose in it early on, sustained, was able to kind of, withstand losing ground and hang on to that podium. Heather White worked her way back through the field. She's got a couple of reps to go with a solid 4th place finish.
Yeah, solid 4th place performance by Heather White, and about a 2-minute PR that she's going to do as well. That's huge, man. We talk about 30 seconds being huge. 2 minutes is. Either I would say, almost 2 minutes on the dot PR. Wow. That she's been working on her running, because she looks smooth on her runs, right? And we already know she's a strong athlete with all the stations. So, man, that's good for her. Great 4th place performance. And congrats to the ladies on the podium as well. Here comes Charity, rounding out potential 5th place. Charity is definitely a rising star in the making. One of our young athletes who started very young down at Grit Fitness down in Lake Jackson, or West Columbia, Texas as well. Man, she's got a very bright future ahead of her. Her and all her siblings. Justice, Melody is another one. Man, that whole family is very impressive.
And now Paige Lewis in there as well. She's looking to finish strong, and she's moving quickly through these burpees.
Something. Yeah, Paige is looking good. I think Charity's got a good enough lead, though, to round out top 5. Because Charity doesn't look like she's slowing down anytime soon. Paige is looking solid, too, though. This might have, I think these two, it's their first time in the pro division, so congrats to them. Well done to Charity.
That's about a 15-second PR for Charity as well. Her top time listed
at great.
38:34 coming in, so a solid effort from Charity.
That's
as
awesome.
Paige Lewis gets set to finish up here as well.
That's awesome. I love it. I love seeing that people get personal records. If they don't get podium, at least you get the time that you want. That's something to be proud of. When you're training, you can, give yourself a clap on the back for that. I mean, that's just good. It's exciting to see training paying off.
Yeah, even with only 6 or so athletes in this heat, we had 2 of the top 10 times so far this year with Alex Walker and Allison Outlaw. Then you had 2 PRs in 4th and 5th. I couldn't quite find a seed time for Allison Morrison. Not sure if this was her first race or if it just
great first time.
As easy to find. Either way, a strong effort for her to get on the podium, and then a PR.
Sure.
PRs for both Heather and Charity. So very, very solid work up and down this field. And I think that was a case where about halfway through we made the comment that Heather, Paige, and Charity were all around each other, and the type of situation that allowed that kind of close battle to pull them. Even though Heather pulled away from the other 2 later on, they all kind of pulled themselves to good times.
Yeah, it still ended up being an exciting race. Just when we thought really Alex was going to run away with it, they cut the gap. They made Alex work for it there at the end, and that's That's what we want to see. If we think someone's going to run away with it, we want to see them work for it a little bit more, right? And as the sport continues to grow, the times are going to get so much closer to everybody, right? When the sport is new, you might have someone that just very distinctly is just so much better. And honestly, we saw it at the High Rocks World Championships. I don't know if you saw, but I mean, Hunter McIntyre finishing 5th place. You talk about the sport growing. The sport has grown, and it's times are just only going to get faster, and competitors are going to get closer, which makes the racings more exciting for everybody that watches at home. So, Xander, we're being accompanied by Alex, Texas Ranger, right here. I feel like I should give you the cowboy hat, being that you're Alex Water. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I like the outfit. You should do this every time. By theme by the city.
Okay. I like
You
that.
like that?
Okay. All right. I wonder what Carolina is going to be then. I guess Tar Heels? I can rock out Tar Heel blue.
I think you could look something up.
I could do that. Well, Alex, congratulations on your win today.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back, of course, to the DEKA Arena. The last time we saw you was, Orlando last year?
Worlds.
Oh, Worlds. Okay, yeah. And how did we place the Worlds?
Not good. I was sick.
Okay. All right. Well, so that's fair enough. So, in other words, did you run a faster time today as well, too?
No, my faster time was I'm a minute slower than I was in Orlando, but this
Okay.
is my first race of the season, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
Like I can see where I'm at and where I need to go from here.
Okay. Yep.
Because I've been working more on the stations. I'm
Okay.
trying to become a hybrid athlete.
Okay. All right. We may have
I'm
made
lear-
a few comments.
I'm learning. And so I worked on my station, so that's getting better. And then now I just need to tie in my running with it.
For sure. Yeah. And Xander and I have always said this, anytime you're on screen and stuff too, it's very clear you're the fastest runner out of all the female athletes, right? Any race that you typically toe the line, you're always respected as one of the fastest, if not the fastest female, right?
Thank you.
Of course. And so the fact that, stations obviously is the Achilles heel that we knew that you had to work on and stuff. And you looked great on a lot of these stations.
Yeah.
The assault bike was maybe the only station where it was very obvious the stronger athletes shined a little bit more.
But I was better at it.
You were
So,
great. Yeah, absolutely.
Even though they might be stronger than it, I was faster on it than I have ever been on.
Which is awesome.
Which
yeah.
is a step up because I
Yep.
think 2 years ago I got past there, or last year I got past there here in Austin
Okay.
on the
okay.
bike because I did 2:15 was my time. It was so slow. So I worked on that. My row was a lot faster,
Mhm.
and then my skis there. So it's just kind of figuring it all out.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
a puzzle.
Oh, for sure. It always is. So that's what I was going to say. The other stations, you were slightly faster, or if not the fastest person on all the stations. So it's very obvious that you have been training for this as well. And I think that's a good thing because, us as runners, we kind of just like to throw ourselves in races and just hope for the best and just hold on, right?
Pray that our running will get us through
100%.
it.
Right, 100%. And we can maybe out cardio a few things, but then at the same time, compromised running is way different than just running.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and this type of stuff will compromise us, right?
Yes.
So where do you think in this race was the one station that well, it might have been the assault bike that you mentioned, that you thought you still need work on, or that you really pushed away from that you're more proud of, I guess, if you've already answered it. But
honestly, I think I could do better on the ski. That's kind of where my whole body kind of went, I don't know if I really want to work hard right now.
right.
When you get that feeling where you're like, do I really need to? I knew if I got on the assault bike and then just kind of went through the motion of it, I would get off before they did because I knew I was already 5 calories or more ahead of them. So I wasn't too worried about that. And then I knew I could outrun them.
Right.
So I knew coming off the bike, as long as I get off the bike before them, they weren't going to they might close the gap, but they weren't going to catch me.
Sure.
And then on the sled, they were like, you're on 4, you have 1 more. And I was like, no, I'm on 5. She's 1 behind me. So the judge wasn't counting.
It seemed like there was a little confusion.
Yeah. But good thing you have to count your own reps or
For
you
sure.
don't know,
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So, but it was good. I'm learning. This was fun.
No, you're doing awesome. You killed it. You killed it today.
Thank you.
Xander, you got any questions?
Sure, yeah. I guess I'm curious, this is obviously your season debut in DEKA FIT. You've been sort of doing a whole bunch of different stuff coming into this. But in a race like this, you step on the line, you find yourself pretty comfortably in the lead right away. How does that impact sort of your mindset or how you're approaching the race? Because, we've seen a lot. We saw it in the men's race, right? When there's a lot of competition at the very front, guys can kind of feed off each other. In a race like this, you essentially led wire to wire. So did it become more of just kind of you working on the stations yourself? Obviously, you're aware of where everyone else is in relation to you, but how does being in front for essentially the whole race kind of impact your mindset as it progresses?
It becomes like a time trial, and then just like learning to like push through things that I didn't want to. Like obviously, y'all know Yancey's my coach, and he knew what I wanted to do going into this. So like I'd be on certain stations, he's like, "You gotta go," and I'm like, "I'm trying." But what's fun too is I've been like help coaching track and cross country, and the kids that are rabbiting are my kids that I coach.
I told them to outrun you, or at least try to.
So it's fun to see them out there. But yeah, I'm learning. You just kind of hope that you don't fall apart, because like you're leading and you're like being chased by people, which is a lot easier. Like Orlando, all those fast, strong girls drug me into a PR, and I need that. Like I need someone to drag me through. So they should have just let us go with the men.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to see
have
it.
One side for the men for the Rams, and the other side for the women's.
You know, Xander, we saw that in the teams. Remember when they did all the co-ed, the female and the males together? That was exciting. That was great. And you talk about some fast times being thrown down. That's a great way of doing it. I agree.
Can you imagine Lauren Weeks with the men? Woo.
Yeah, or how about Alex Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there you go. Well, I have to ask, because last year I asked you before the Orlando race, how are you feeling about it? And like you said, you ran your best race to date by doing that. And you said, I'm just there for fun. I'm here to do this. You know, I like being part of everything like that. Has the mindset changed this year? Is Alex Walker, now that you've been training for this type of stuff, are we going to shoot for Worlds? And why can't Alex Walker be the 2024 DEKA Female World Champion?
I am actually going to be training for hybrid. I put 10 pounds of muscle on over the winter and like the last 6 months. And then I'm slowly like leaning that strength into cardio ratio. And so I'm going to find that balance and keep working on the machines, because it's like hard to do. Those are like, it's a challenge for me, which is nice, which like with OCR was a challenge. You find those little things. So for me, it's the machines, and I want to figure it out. And I am going to do a high rocks this year too, later in the year. And
you heard it here first.
So I'm going to try.
Watch out, world. When you get a fast athlete out there trying to put on some muscle, that's a scary thing. So that's awesome. Well, congrats, Alex.
You.
Congrats on your win. You're officially undefeated in the season as of right now. What is the next race we will expect you at?
I was going to see how I felt here, and then I don't know yet. We'll see.
Okay.
I'll find something.
Awesome. Xander, you have any more questions at all, bud?
No, I was going to ask what's next, but we have the long-term plan of, stepping more into the hybrid space. And, yeah, we look forward to seeing you next, wherever that happens to be.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good job, Alex.
Appreciate
well done, of course. All right, man. Exciting races. Exciting wins.
Good to have
Did it big
boots
here
on
in
the ground.
Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say good to
right.
have boots on the ground. I don't know if you're actually wearing boots to go along with the rest of the outfit,
No.
but I know that I
don't
now
wear
need to
boots,
step up. I need to step up my game next. That was a complete surprise when you showed up in the jacket and hat this morning. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, I try to dress up for Worlds, of course. I think I'm trying to do the better attire now that we're in camera, and of course at home I kind of just typically wear my like joggers and sweatshirt. Alex makes a good point. Each city, we should do a different theme. When I show up in Ocala in September with you, bud, and for World Championships too, what's Florida? What are we going to do? We're going to wear some blue gator stuff, or what's the look? You're the Floridian.
We've got to figure that out, because obviously, Florida could be beach, it could be, swamp, but also Ocala is kind of the World Equestrian Center. So I don't know. There's a horse ranching vibe to that as well.
Let's get up. So, is this good?
We got some time to figure it out, and we have a potential dry run with another race in Ocala earlier.
Okay, all right. We'll figure it out. We'll have to link up though. All right, Xander. We have our presence of Mr. DEKA 2024 right now, Isaac Sanderson, next to us. Isaac, man. How you doing, bud? You doing okay? Okay.
Yeah,
There we go.
There we go. Not always your day. I had been training lots. I have to do some PT after this because I got a 50-miler next week. So it's just it's not your day every time. And
the man who does everything.
Very happy and proud for Glenn because he called the shot.
Yeah,
got his top 2. Not a PR for Glenn, but I think he's happy with his time. And then Nick had a good solid debut. So not always your day.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what I was going to ask. Obviously, you didn't win today, right? And I know you show up with the mindset of that as well too, and you want a good performance and everything. Do you feel like you're doing too much at the moment, or do you? And I know you're one of the big. Everyone's like this. We all get FOMO. We all want to compete in everything. Do you feel like your body's now at the point where it's just like, hey man, maybe we need to back off just a little bit, or do you feel like you just said today just wasn't your day, but you feel like you could rebound from this pretty quickly?
No, I'm still fit. I'm still in a position where I'm still growing and still getting more fit day by day. I do think that I race a lot, but performance isn't really ever the main goal, right? I do this because I love doing it. I love competing.
Absolutely.
I love traveling different places. I love racing. So if it was more about the performance and about the time every time, then I would definitely say I'm overtraining.
Gotcha.
I had the best performance of the year so far when I wasn't racing every weekend. So
right.
There's definitely a correlation between the two. But for now, I'm happy racing, happy competing, and that was the best my body could give me today. I suffered on the assault bike. I couldn't get over. I do wattage. I couldn't get over like 500 watts, which is 150 less than I usually do. I felt a little bit of a pull on the skier, got my hamstring, and a smarter racer might have pulled out. But I don't want to open that can of worms for future DNFs. So I'm going to cross that finish line regardless.
There you go, man. That's good. No, Isaac, even with your finish today, man, you're still obviously got a podium streak going right now in DEKA. You still showcased a very fast time.
I'm still 0-4 against Ryker.
Well, that's okay.
I haven't thought about that.
We'll use that as fuels for the next race, of course, too. But it's you still showed up, like you said. You still wanted to finish, and you did, and you still got a podium streak going. Yeah. So, I mean, you still, in my opinion, are the face of the sport for this year as of right now. You're still Mr. DEKA just because you've been showing up and you still putting out performances left and right. So obviously today, man, no one's going to think anything less of you after today's performance or anything, man. You definitely did awesome. So
if they want to, they can. I don't really. That doesn't bother me.
No, I know, and I don't mean personally. I just mean as like is Isaac falling off type thing. I don't know. Some people can talk, but.
Yeah, no, I think everyone has good and bad days. I don't think you have to come in PB every time. I wanted a PB today. I posted about it yesterday that I'm coming with the intent to race hard and drop a good time, but it's not always your day. It's a little bit humid here than what I'm used to out in the Pacific Northwest, and I could lay out excuses, but I'm not going to do that. This was my day.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you.
But happy with it. I'll go cheer up my brother. I think he might have just started, so I might have to take off here. Because I have my brother and my dad making their debut. So
nice. Also, too, Xander, I wasn't sure if you had any questions, but are you still doing teams today?
No, I'm gonna. Okay. I was planning to, but I'm gonna pull out and start my PT process early, so I don't have to pull out of that 50-miler next weekend.
Well, that PT process of running 50 miles, that's the new trend, by the way. So.
Yeah. You want to heal, just keep running.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Movement is medicine.
Hey, movement is medicine, absolutely. Yeah. Dude, Isaac, great performance today, nonetheless, man. Awesome. Yeah. And when's the next race? When should we expect you next?
In the DEKA FIT arena?
The DEKA FIT, yeah.
Good question. I don't know. I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the whole hybrid scene in general.
Okay.
I don't think I'll be. What's up, Allison? I don't think I'll be racing the next one. You'll see me around. I'll be around.
At least before Worlds, maybe, potentially.
Yeah, it's always nice to get a quick refresher before Worlds. This pain that you feel after, I don't know, about the med ball sit-ups, the pain, the sting, you can't really replicate even in training.
Sure.
So I agree. I want to get another race in before Worlds.
For sure, man. Well, we're looking forward to it as always, Isaac.
Yeah, good to see you. Love the hat.
Keep crushing it, okay? Thank you, bud.
Good to see you, Xander. I'm glad we can continue this weekend talk.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
See you, bud.
What's up?
Sorry, I got another athlete next to me. I'm being swarmed over here, Xander. Yeah. You should feel the love and the energy through the screen.
I can feel it coming through the computer screen, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Allison, you're another, let's say, last name that's very Texas fitting, right? I just had Alex Walker next to me. I feel like we should give you the hat right now.
I know.
Yeehaw it up right now.
I forgot my hat, too, and my Ugg boots. I didn't bring them. It's a little too hot for those today.
Yeah, understood. So, Allison, congratulations on your second place finish. Is this your first pro race?
It is.
Okay.
I've always done age group.
Okay.
The 40 to 45, and I thought I'd want to push myself and see how I stack up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Xander and I were speaking about too. I mean, your PR when you came into this was about 38 minutes or 36.
I think it was 36 at Worlds.
Yeah, 36. And so you compete in that age group. We were discussing that you potentially didn't have any athletes that could maybe push you a little bit faster. And by joining into the pro heat, now you can kind of get a little bit more of a feel of the faster runners, let's say. Maybe not so much station work, but at least running wise. And you could feed off of that. And for that, I mean, you ended up finishing what, Xander, 35?
Yeah, PR.
Yeah, huge PR. So I mean, how's the energy levels on that? Are we feeling confident or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of women that are my age or any athletes that are 40 or older, maybe that are faster, want to stay in that age group category because it's safe, and maybe they don't know if they're good enough to go into the elite or pro.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd encourage them to do it because it's just going to make them better.
Right.
And if I was running out there kind of like just with a group of people and not sure who was ahead or not in like an actual race scenario, I don't know if I would have pushed myself as hard. So
sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Xander, you gotta.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was a good back and forth between you and Allison Morrison. Kind of each of you had different points of the race where you were ahead or whatnot, and obviously Alex was a little bit ahead as someone to maybe keeping your view. So, not only stepping up into this field, but having people around you, you sort of alluded to it just now, but yeah, that level of competition really helps you get the best out of yourself.
Yes, and she went out hard. And I was like, I don't know if I am going to maintain this pace, so I kind of backed it off a little bit. But I think if I was to race again, I would maybe push myself to hang with her a little more now that I have an understanding of like the pace of this.
Right.
It's so different from High Rocks. I just came from High Rocks, and I think I was in that High Rocks pace where you're like, I got to save some energy. It's like,
Sure.
wait, no, this is short. Let's go. Like it's a whole different gear
It is.
in DEKA. And it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where in this course today, so this is your first time doing pro then, so a little bit faster time. Well, I say a lot faster time actually. Where did you feel like maybe you're just like, okay, I got to back off, or where did you feel like you wanted to really make up the time? We saw your bike time. Your bike time was the fastest. Heather White put up the fastest, but you were at least right there in the podium wise. You were the fastest out of the three. Was that where you said, I need to make a move, or was it another station throughout the race, or was it the running?
It was definitely the bike because I had been saving myself, going at like a steady pace on all the machines, saving energy for the bike because I knew that's kind of the break point for this race.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the back half that really decides a lot. It's more strength-based. So
Sure.
I knew I would get ahead there.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and you did. You made your move. So, well, Allison, are we, or Xander and I going to see you at a future pro race for coverage, or are we jumping back in the age group? Xander, I don't know with her time. Is she currently top 10?
I think right on the edge. Yeah, I think.
Okay, you're knocking on the door.
It's around 9th or 10th.
Okay, that's awesome. That qualifies you. Or do we see you in age group again? Where does Allison Outlaw go next?
If I qualify in the elites, I'm going to go with the elites and see what I can do and keep going.
Love it. All right,
Yeah.
Representing Texas while you're at it. I
Yeah.
love it. All right, that's exciting. Oh, I think we're frozen. That's cute. Wow, that's a good look. Yeah, that's a good look.
Looks like we've got a bit of brief
moving.
technical difficulty here. I think I can still hear them though.
Where's Caleb at?
Oh, okay. So Lifey can still hear us. Oh, Caleb's at home,
Where's
probably
Caleb?
munching up on food. Who the hell
Eating
knows?
ice cream, eating Ben and Jerry's and crying.
Caleb, do you hear us right
Caleb.
now? That's what you're doing,
Where are
buddy.
you?
Yeah, where are you, Caleb? Way to not show up for your teammate that you.
I'm
got
doing
podium
teams
with-
later with one of my client. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Co-ed or female?
Co-ed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like elite?
No, we're just doing
Okay.
it for fun. I'm
Okay.
going to do all the running, and he's going to do most of the stations.
Yeah,
so we'll
that's
see.
all right. It's best when it's always fun when you get a client out here. I got one or a couple of mine out here today as well too, doing it for the first time. So it's always exciting to see how they perform. So
It's more exciting to watch your clients than
It
it is
is.
to actually like
100%.
race yourself.
And and maybe Xander can agree with me. It's fun. I get more of a blast and a thrill commentating than I do actually competing myself
Oh,
as
yeah.
well too, watching you guys. So, well, Allison, if we see you at maybe a future race before Worlds, I hope so. If not, Worlds, of course, is where we're going to see you next. Let's hope your time obviously holds up, right? That's what we want. And then great job today in second place. Well done. Rightfully deserved, yes.
All right.
Make your client work. All right, man. Exciting morning. I'm already cotton mouth and dehydrated, and I'm hungry, and I got to compete here in about an hour.
So here's a look at some of the action from this morning. Alex Walker, a solid win. Yeah, we're stepping it up on the production angle and
I like it, Jason. Well done.
Attire for Luke. Yeah, this is next level stuff all across the board.
Yeah, this is cool with the replay things. I think this is next level stuff production. Shout out to OCR Report and Jason Dupree. You know, without obviously him and OCR Report, this would never be available for people at home. So it's exciting to get this coverage for everybody. It's great for the sport. It's great for recognition. And yeah, as you can see, all the replays of these ladies crushing it today. Our podium ladies reeling it all the way in. A great showcase, a performance by Alex Walker, who has just claimed that she's going all in on hybrid racing, Xander. So this is a name that very well, I mean, when she went all in on Spartan, she was one of the top names. So Lauren Weeks, Meg Jacoby, who else is a big name? All the other females, watch out, because Alex Walker is more than capable of becoming the world champ this year. Tara Jackson, right? Lauren Griffith, watch out.
Yeah, we've seen athletes with a strong running background come into the hybrid space and do really well. Alex is certainly no stranger to DEKA FIT, but yeah, excited to see what she can do in High Rocks.
Absolutely.
As well.
Well, Xander, this has been a blast, man.
Absolutely. Here's a look at our leaderboards from this morning. So your men's top 10, again, Nick Ryker, we heard from him earlier on, right after his victory. Eased his way into it, his first race of the year. Hasn't had a ton of specific training time, but certainly showed that he is ready to defend that World Championship podium spot. Glenn Brace, his third straight second place. We heard from Isaac that maybe, yeah, he's feeling all the racing that he's been doing a little bit lately, but he put out what his body gave him on the day and still came in sub 32. And how about that? Joshua Gonzalez and Connor Bell, those are two guys that we talked about throughout the second half of the race, going back and forth. Tremendous, I mean, you know, literally a photo finish with the exact same 32:11 finish time.
Yeah, these guys are running 5K splits that people wish they would just on a regular basis, right? So this is impressive, and doing it compromised. And like you said, congrats to Nick Ryker coming back, dominating as per usual. This is something we saw all last year. Isaac Sanderson just feeling a slight, you know, wear or tear. No big deal, though. He said it himself. He doesn't do it for the wins. He does it for just because he enjoys doing it, and that's awesome. And he's a humble guy, and he'll bounce back for sure. And then, of course, Joshua Gonzalez and Connor Bell. This is a good example of the 5K split. Joshua was almost a whole minute faster, but that's how fast Connor was on the stations to be able to maintain that same time as Joshua Gonzalez. That's very impressive.
Yeah, and strong performances all the way down this top 10. Dustin Needham about a minute faster than he was at the last race in NorCal. He's someone who's you know, not afraid to toe the line at, you know, the majority of these races, improving over the course of the year. So yeah, it was a case where just strong competition at every level in this men's heat really helped pull everyone forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, this was an exciting race. And it seems like every race, man, it just gets better and better as it goes, right? And, no controversy today. Everything was clean. You know, the way they set down those ram rollers, you can tell they were very instructed to do so. Every single person tried to set it upright. I don't think a single person just laid it down. So they did it upright. It was great. And the sport's only going to get better from here because of it. So that was awesome.
Absolutely. And here's the women's field again, not as deep in terms of number of athletes, but strong performances all the way down. We heard from our top two finishers, Alex Walker and Allison Outlaw. Alex making her season debut was, you know, she said herself, a little bit slower than her top time in Orlando during the regular season last year, but that was a case where there were some top competitors ahead of her to pull her forward, whereas today turned into a bit more of a time trial, but she's able to win by 23 seconds over Allison Outlaw, who pulled away from Allison Morrison late, and strong efforts as well from Heather White and Charity Bourne. Heather with almost a 2-minute PR, and Charity with about a 15-second PR in those 4th and 5th spots.
Absolutely, yeah. All these ladies did great. Like you said, short list today, but that's okay. There's nothing they can do about it. It's not their fault, and they showed up and they did great. And it's, from my understanding, most women did what they could. And so Alex is back in the scene, and I'm excited to see her go all in a hybrid racing. I was really hoping last year she was going to pull that plug and do it, but it seems like this year she's finally going to do it. So, man, that's a big name right there. So this is exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. Saw a couple of top 10 times on both sides this morning, and great competition. I think some of the deepest race we've seen on the men's side so far this year. That should only increase as we head on towards World Championships. So we're about halfway through the regular season here in DEKA FIT. Everyone's got that December date on the calendar, and yeah, momentum is building here in the hybrid space. So that's going to just about do it for us this morning. Good to have you in person, on the ground, able to get those in-person interviews, Luke. And of course, huge shout out to Jason Dupree behind the scenes, making it all happen, along with our rabbits, getting us all the action. A lot of Alex Walker's athletes that she coaches helping us out. So again, for our producer, Jason Dupree, and for Luke Halterman and our rabbits, I'm Xander Keene. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time here on the OCR Report.